Hey guys, one of the biggest frustrations that I have when I'm transplanting some of my smaller vegetable plants like tomatoes and cucumbers, peppers, things like that, is while I'm trying to pop them out of the smaller flats, in my 128 cell flats, sometimes if the root systems aren't established the best, sometimes it's really difficult to get the actual plant out with the roots. So one thing that I have figured out, you can use something to pop them out from the bottom. So you can use anything. You can use a little mini screwdriver. This is a little bamboo stake that I just had laying around on the ground. But this is one method that I use to do it. And it brings everything out. It kind of pops the root ball out with the plant to keep everything intact, to not disturb the roots as much as possible. So right now, today, what I'm doing is I'm actually doing some transplanting, and so I'm going to show you real quick a couple examples of this. Right now we're transplanting some Amana orange tomatoes. So I'm putting in these 4-inch pots. There's a big enough hole at the bottom where you can just push up through and pop it out. Just pop it right out like this. And they're not always going to come out perfectly, but let's see how this one does. This one would have been a lot better. It came out a lot better than it would have if I didn't do this. This one looks really good. This one has two. Let's see if I can get the right one here. Yep. This one has 2 plants coming out in it, and the root ball looks amazing with this one. So this is what you really want when they come out. This is what you're looking for. Nice healthy root, white roots going throughout the whole cell. Okay. So I'm going to give you an example of what I'm going to do with this. I'm not going to leave both plants in there, obviously. I'm going to leave the one that actually has the true leaves coming out in it. These are the first leaves that pop out of the seed. Those are called cotyledons. Okay, those will eventually fall off. And these are called the first true leaves because these are the leaves that resemble what they... Oh! These are the leaves that resemble what the actual plant will look like. The leaves that will be on the plant, okay? Okay, so I'm going to plop that down in. Give it a little push down, just a little. Pat it down a little bit. Some people might say now you need to, the one you want to get rid of. Some people say you can just pull it out. Some people say you can pinch it off. Some people use a sterilized razor blade. Right now, for time's sake, what I do, since I'm planting hundreds and hundreds of plant starts, I'm literally going to come down here, take my finger, and pinch it off. That way, that plant will no longer be fighting for nutrients. Now we just have one plant. That is it, guys. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep it going, and you guys can follow along. Alright guys, we have finished planting 45 Amana orange tomato plants. And now it's on to Sweeties. Sweeties are a cherry tomato. Alright guys. Hey guys, while transplanting these tomatoes, I thought it would be pretty important to talk about something real quick. Those of you that dealt with tomatoes at all in any capacity as far as pruning them, planting them, picking tomatoes off of them, they have these little white hairs coming off of the stem. Also on the leaves, the entire plant is actually taken up with all these little white hairs. If you can see these little white hairs here, pretty awesome. These are actually called trichomes. These trichomes secrete an essential oil which helps the tomato plant not have too many pests. So if you look at them right there, they are pretty awesome. I wish I could magnify the trichomes, but I'm going to kind of come around here. Now this plant is so young. It still has its cotyledons, which are its first leaves, and it's just starting to grow its true leaves. So it already has these awesome trichomes. These trichomes do a lot of things. They actually cool the plant down because they retain moisture. They actually, if you were to plant this tomato plant further down in the soil, those trichomes will then hold the water into the plant to try to save the plant's life. So there's a lot of reasons why there are these awesome little white hairs on the tomato plant. You will also notice, if you've ever been a person that has done a lot of pruning from tomatoes, you're getting the essential oils on your hand. It's like a greenish brown stain, and it's almost impossible to get off. It's not water soluble, that's why washing your hands does very little to get it off. So I just thought that was some interesting information that you guys would like to know about the tomato plant. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. All right. Alright guys, you may be interested in how I go about making, this isn't our seed starting mix, but this is once I start potting the plants up and they need a little bit more nutrients to survive. And they're not just living off of the nutrients from the seed itself. Once the plant has its roots established and I'm repotting them, I use the same Pro Mix that I use for when I start my seed starts, but I add a few things to it. One of the things I add is our mushroom compost, this real dark organic compost that we get from mushroom farms. As good as I can tell, it has an amazing amount of nitrogen in it. I have not had this, so I haven't had it tested yet. But all of my beds out there have it, and all the plants are growing amazing in there right now. I also add, for good root growth, I add some organic bone meal. Also some rock phosphate, just a little bit. I'm going to show you the consistency. We're going to have, I need to put a little bit more bone meal and a little bit more rock phosphate in. Rock phosphate, just like that. Put some more of that in. It's already wet. I already added some water. So we already have some lumping going on, which is good. That's what we want to do. That's what we want to have. Squeezing it, there's no water coming out, it's not too wet, and it stays together pretty good. I might have been wrong. It stays together pretty good. What you're looking for is a good squeeze, and then it somewhat stays. See how it springs out a little bit too much right there? Oh, that's a good one. That's pretty good. Pretty good consistency. Okay, let's see if I can get all of it. Let me reach down in the bottom and see if I can get some. It does the same thing. Oh, look at that. We're doing pretty good. So the consistency you're looking for is for you to clump it, take a big clump in your hand, push it together real hard and let it go slowly. It should stay, form just a little bit. You shouldn't see water pouring out of it. That means it's too wet. And it shouldn't just fall apart in your hands. That means it's too dry. So see, I'm squeezing as hard as I can. There's nothing squeezing out of it. And I'm gonna let go softly and see how it kind of holds its form. And then once I do that, it breaks apart. That's about what you're looking for. Well, when I say you can do whatever you want. This is what I'm looking for. That's one thing that if I'm farming for 50 years, I'm never going to claim that I know what I'm doing, because I have a feeling that it's the kind of person I am in life. I'm going to experiment every year. I'm just going to try something new. If I find something that works really well, I'm going to stick with it, but I'll also try some experiments. So I would encourage all of you to try some experimentation too. So this is ready to go. I'm going to finish potting up all of our, not all of our, but a lot of our tomatoes in our 4-inch pots to hopefully, hopefully over the next few days, they start taking off. All right, guys, thanks. Catch you later. What is it, buddy?
Flower.
What kind of flower is it?
It's yours.
Oh, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. You picking them for mommy? That's pretty, isn't it?